Taking the risk is another like huge piece of advice that I would, like give to people.
At the end of the day, I think everyone has very specific paths.
You sort of take it for granted when you're actually there.
You're warming my heart right now hearing you speak about all of this.
But if you're not getting something that you wanted, it's just you're being redirected for something else.
I am Mahdia.
And I'm Avani.
Welcome back to Passports and People. Today we have a very special guest with us. She was born in India, raised in South Africa, surrounded by many different cultures, and is now studying film and new media in NYU Abu Dhabi. Everybody, please welcome Revathi.
Woo!
How are you? You said you were in South Africa, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. So I study in NYU Abu Dhabi. So now because of like the conflict, obviously, I had to come back. So I'm here for like the foreseeable future. It's kind of like where I'm in limbo because like I don't know when I'm gonna go back. So yeah, it's okay.
So was it like mandatory for you guys to go back home or you chose to go home?
No, it wasn't mandatory. Like, basically what they did is they told us that we can stay or we can like choose to leave, and like they booked flights. They even chartered flights for some people. But yeah, like in fact they even like because like NYU is like an American asset, and that was obviously under threat from Iran
Yeah.
because like Iran was targeting
Oh,
America.
right.
Yeah, so they moved us to hotels.
Right,
And
right.
then so right now like a lot of people who are still there are staying in hotels. So I was there for a bit, but then I decided like instead of, being at a hotel, I'd rather like be back home and then potentially just come back. So yeah, I chose to come
Are
back.
you like studying still, like online, or has it just
Yeah.
been on pause?
So until last week we were on break, but now we're like classes have started again, so we're online, so that's kind of not fun. It's giving COVID, but it's okay, we move.
So before we get started, I just want to basically introduce this new series that we're kind of doing, where we're going to be contacting and inviting people from the borderless articles to join us and basically speak through the experience, so we can kind of go deeper into it, because like on your borderless article you spoke about how you applied and how you got accepted and all of that. So this will just be more about the experience itself of being an international student.
Okay, so yeah, I joined NYU Abu Dhabi in 2022, and like my whole plan was to study film, and like I was really like interested in media and that area of things. But then when I joined NYU Abu Dhabi, I was a film major until like my sophomore year, and I actually got to study away in Los Angeles, and I also studied away in New York. So I was basically there the whole year of 2024 in the US. That was a great experience, but it also taught me that film was not really for me. And that's when I was working on my startup for like, I mean, a semester before that. And my startup is basically aimed at connecting creatives in the GCC region with early stage companies or SMEs to sort of foster a symbiotic partnership. So then I decided that I wanted to take that further, and like obviously my interest in film led me to found this and to actually find my interest in that. So that's currently what I'm doing. I actually switched majors from film to business, and I still have film as a minor. Because I did quite a few requirements, so like I didn't want that to go to waste. And it's quite fun, like doing film at NYU Abu Dhabi. The opportunities that you get to actually explore creative fields is insane. They have their own art center and state of the art equipment that you can use to actually explore these arts. Yeah, so it was really great, but I just felt like business was more my calling and entrepreneurship, and that's what I'd like to do long term. But yeah, I mean that's a pretty much a quick summary of like my past 4 years.
Okay, you studying in the US is really interesting, especially because, like, in your story, in your article, you said that you've always kind of been around new cultures. So then, like, broadening your horizons more. How was it studying in Los Angeles and New York?
Right. I'd say like my New York study away experience was unparalleled. Like that was genuinely probably one of like the best 4 months or like 6 months actually because I was also there in the summer. New York in the summer is just magical. And I think New York itself is so different from the rest of the United States. I mean, maybe I'm just biased, but like it's just such a melting pot of cultures and like communities. And that was really great. I got to like meet a lot of people, but a lot of people from NYU Abu Dhabi were studying away there. So I had my own friend circle as well. But it's also very easy to actually step out of that and make new friends. Um, yeah, I mean, in terms of like language and culture, it wasn't like as, like different because I know a lot of my friends went to like Paris or like Madrid. And with that, there's more of a cultural learning curve because, like, you're learning a new language and there's like a completely different culture. But yeah, so in terms of like the American culture, it's like similar to what I've been experiencing my whole life. But I think it was just the exposure and like the opportunities and like being in a city that's very different to what I've grown up in. You know what I mean? Like it's like a more walkable city. It's more I think you just gain a lot of independence being there because you don't need like a car to get around. It's yeah, so it was very different in that way and yeah, very exciting.
Do you think
Yeah.
going to New York kind of also influenced you changing your mind about film and going into entrepreneurship?
Definitely. I think so because I before that, I think before New York I was still kind of set on film. Like I was still pursuing that. But the classes that I was taking in New York were just business because at that point I was still planning to double major. So it was kind of like a vibe of, oh, okay, I'm just going to finish these requirements. So I was doing only business classes. I did no film classes in New York, which was a bit silly of me. I mean, it's New York, it's the main NYU campus. I should have done a film class, but I like in retrospect it's okay because I did change majors. Yeah, that's what also did motivate me to change majors, but also I found my co-founder in New York. It was actually a very crazy story. It was like a founder networking event. Yeah, and actually, like we met each other there, and but she was from NYU Abu Dhabi, but I didn't know her the whole time, and I only met her in New York. So I
Oh
think it was
my.
meant to be. We were meant to meet in New York, and so now we're working on it.
Yeah. And for those who are wondering, like, how difficult or what's the process like to change majors at NYU Abu Dhabi? Someone's worried that they're not 100% sure what they want to study and they want to apply to NYU Abu Dhabi. How
Yeah.
is the changing majors like?
Oh my God, I have to say it's like this is I think the beauty of the liberal arts education and specifically at NYU Abu Dhabi because I can't speak for the whole of NYU, but I think it's super easy and like basically okay before I went and study abroad. So before you study away, you're supposed to have certain requirements done. And because I was film, I obviously had my film requirements done. But then when I came back, I switched to business. So it was essentially like not like I found a cheat code, but like I found a way around it. But then that obviously meant that I had to do a lot of extra work after coming back. Um, but I think the process of switching majors is super easy at NYU Abu Dhabi. They make it easy for you to actually like really do what you're passionate about, and if you feel like there's a mistake or you're not really happy with what you're doing, you can change that. And I know a lot of friends as well who have like done complete switches, like maybe go from like engineering to computer science or like things like that.
And when you first moved to Abu Dhabi, when you first moved for university, did you feel like fitting in? And because you kind of grew up with, the Indian culture and then South Africans,
Mm.
do you feel like it came more naturally to meeting new people with these different cultures? Or were there more times where like you felt slightly out of place or like, as one would feel when they first moved to a different country for university?
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't feel out of place at all because basically my whole life I've been used to moving. Like when I was a kid, I moved from South Africa to India, and then after a couple of years, I moved back to South Africa, and I switched schools multiple times. So like the whole process of moving and meeting new people was I was used to it. So that definitely made it easier to move and like not miss home too much. But also, I think like NYU Abu Dhabi itself, everybody, like all the students in my year, in the school in general, are just so like welcoming, and they have an attitude that's very warm, and it doesn't make you feel like you're out of place. And you'll find your own community that makes you feel like that you're at home. And yeah, and even though it's so like multicultural, I definitely don't think that there's a sort of cliquiness about it. People are still welcoming, and like I think within the like multicultural hub of NYUAD, people find their little pockets of culture. So they
Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned how like you've been moving your whole life, right? So obviously that means that you've not really stuck to one place to like call, well, I'm assuming here, but to call like completely yours because you're so used to like moving around. Is that how you feel about it, or do you have somewhere where you feel super connected? And was it hard moving to Abu Dhabi because, well, this time you weren't with your family, you were starting from zero this time. You had no one you knew. Tell us a bit about that.
Okay, that's a really interesting question because like obviously I think growing up being between like India and South Africa, there was kind of I think I had more of an affinity towards South Africa because I've spent most of my life here. I only spent like around 2 years living in India, so South Africa is definitely like what I would call home
Me too.
because I yeah. Because yeah, like I grew up here. But I think now that sense of home is sort of like skewed, right? Because even though I'm back here right now, and this is home, I think I just feel like I'm missing and like Abu Dhabi and like the UAE so much because that's what I would call home for like the past 4 years. Because even though I was coming here like in December's and like June, July for like the holidays, I would come here with the idea that I'm like just holidaying here. Like I'm not actually like living here, right? So
Yeah.
then now like
Mm.
home to me right now is UAE. And then obviously like when I studied away, when I was in the US, even though I was there for like a year, home was still UAE in some sense because there's the idea that okay, I'm gonna return there. But yeah, I think having like been to these
Mm.
different places, it's almost like it's like you lose that sense of home, but like you're not too sad about it because you're also gaining something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so right
Yeah.
now
I
I'd say
think Madia really
Yeah.
needs to let, like I can see it. No, I feel that. I feel part of it. Like I don't feel the part where it's like moving around a lot because obviously I'm settled in Australia, but I
mm,
definitely know what you feel about, feeling more home in the place that you've spent most of your life growing up in, even though you're from a different country. So I think that's very valuable.
And the reason that I decided to pick you from like the articles was because number one, you are South African. I'm South African as well. And then Avani is Indian and she moved to Australia when she was also really young. So I felt there was a lot of relatability from there. But also, I've also been moving since I was like 8 years old. I've lived in the UAE, Malaysia, Brunei. So like, you're warming my heart right now hearing you
I
speak
can
about
see it. I can
this.
see
Yeah, I'm like honestly, because like even for me, South Africa, I've never really lived here. Like I always
yeah,
just come for holidays because since I was 8, I've always been moving up and down, and now like I'm going back to Malaysia, but like I'm so happy to be leaving South Africa.
right. Yeah, no, I can. We have so much in common. Wow.
Yeah.
And Avani, like I was trying to recognize what that accent was, and because like I think the Australian accent is kind of like similar to South African,
it.
like there's hints of it, but now that makes sense.
And you said in your article that one of the reasons you picked NYU was because of the cultural diversity that it has, and you described it as your dream university. So, while experiencing it these past almost 4 years, do you feel like it's stuck to that dream university title?
For sure, 100%. I think when the time that has really hit me that wow, like this really like nothing could be better than this is actually like these past 2 weeks that I've been at home. Because okay, I think when you're at university, like, right, like it's been my dream university since I was in high school. I've been there for the past 4 years, but then
Yeah.
you sort of take it for granted when you're actually there. And I mean, like there
Yeah.
would be moments where I'd be like, "Oh my goodness!" Like like this was literally my dream when I was 15, but I'm here. But I think now it's really hit me now that these 4 years are coming to an end. and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to go back, for the rest of the semester. That's why it's more kind of like, I think, awakening in the sense that like it definitely has lived up to that hype, of like one thing I was like most excited about was being with so many people from different cultures, like having access to these
Yeah.
opportunities. And there was definitely like all of that was true. And I was able to experience all of that. So yeah, 100%, I think it lived up to that dream.
This is warming my heart now. I've got a dream university that I'm aiming for since I was like 15, right? And yeah, I was like scared about the fact that, oh, what if it's not everything I hope for and more. But hearing it from someone who's already experienced it, it's like reinforcing that it's like meant to be. What's meant to be will happen. So yeah.
Yeah, Avani's only 16, 17.
Oh, okay. So
And she's like been working
For a
to her
while.
dream from her dream university since, like, oh my gosh, since I've known her, she's like that's her passion. Like everything she does is towards that.
oh, that's genuinely so like heartwarming. That was literally me when I was in your shoes. So like I'm like getting so many flashbacks. So like I'm guessing you're in your like last year.
Year 11. So
Oh, okay,
I don't know
second
what that
semester.
is for you guys.
Yeah, she has one more year, I
Okay,
think.
okay.
Yeah.
Kind of. I graduate next year at the end of next year
Okay, okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
in
And
October.
okay. And Madhya, you're going to uni, right?
Yeah, I'm 19, and then in April I'm going back to Malaysia. So for the past 2.5 years, I finished high school in Malaysia, and then I came back for like a gap year in South Africa. Um, and now I'm going back to Malaysia because
Oh wow,
yeah.
that's so cool, guys. I'm so excited for y'all. Like, I wish I could go back in time and like experience these 4 years, but genuinely, like people say it, like, oh, these 4 years fly by, but genuinely it does. And like you don't get a time to like stop and like, wow, you're gonna love it.
What part of India are you from, by the way?
From Kerala originally, but I was born in Pune, which is in Maharashtra. What about
Okay.
you?
Yeah, yeah. Bangalore.
Oh, oh my goodness. Okay, so basically, crazy story. We're planning to move back to India now, and we're planning to settle in Bangalore.
Oh, wow. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll run into
it's a lot
you.
of back and forth. Yeah, yeah, probably.
Very possible the world is very small.
Hmm.
So what's something about your experience that you didn't expect that you feel like people don't really speak about that much?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think,
Like good and bad.
Yeah,
yeah,
good
I
and bad.
think one thing that a lot of people do experience is actually that a lot of people who like my friends and like it's a very common experience across the board for most people at universities, like not just NYU Abu Dhabi, but anywhere like but specifically at NYU Abu Dhabi as well, is I think imposter syndrome. And that's because you're surrounded by so many like high achieving individuals. And like a lot of times, like when you first meet your friends, you really don't know like what, like, because nobody really speaks about like achievements in like a day-to-day conversation, right? And then you like figure out like, wow, they've done all of this. They were like head girl, head boy in high school, or like like they've done so many different things. Like they were like nationalists for like Olympiads and stuff like that, like crazy things. And then even at uni itself, like there's imposter syndrome with that as well. But something more deeper is, I think, related to like your career path, right? So I think this is, maybe you won't experience it in like first or second year, but like in third year when people are applying for like internships and getting more serious about jobs. I'll speak about my experience because for me in film, right? I was doing film, and like finding creative opportunities is like different to being being interested in investment banking and then doing an application to Goldman Sachs, like it's more straightforward. You have like an input and then an output, like it's multiple like applications, interviews. It's not easy, but it's more straightforward in the sense as what to do. You do A to get B. But whereas with like, yeah, with like creative stuff and like many other fields like this, it's not as straightforward. Like, you know, you have to create your own opportunity, you have to create your own output, make room for yourselves in these industries. I would say that was a very huge struggle, which obviously led to the creation of my startup. But I think this also sort of influenced me in some ways because all of my friends were either computer science students or in STEM, like biology or like engineering, or they were like economics or like business students, right? So very different, more quantitative, not as creative. So I think this definitely like played a role in me choosing not to like do film. Not that it influenced me in a very huge way because I've always been a huge believer in doing what I'm passionate about. So I would not just like change it for that reason. But I think that definitely influences you and it makes you feel like, oh, you know, I'm not doing enough, or like, am I gonna be as successful? So that's something that not a lot of people talk about, because like, how do you speak about this with, you know, your friends like who are pursuing different things? It's something that I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel, and it's kind of correlated to imposter syndrome, but there is that, but you get over it.
I think everyone can relate to that in some way because, like, even if it's not about careers, there's surely other places that you know, compare yourself and wonder if you are going to have the same achievements when you see other people. But at the end of the day, I think everyone has very specific paths, and I think your path guided you to the best success for you, right? And I think people should always follow what makes them happy.
Like, yeah, what she's saying is very true. Like, even in high school and stuff, you're good. Like, I think it's so easy to feel imposter syndrome, so that's just something that I guess you'll always have in life. But yeah, like Amani said, it's about knowing that, like, you know, your time is different from everybody, like, and your path is also different. So yeah.
In what ways do you think you've changed since you first arrived? And like, how do you think you've kind of build that bridge between high school and then university? Because now that I'm going into it, I'm like, okay, this is actually quite a bigger step than you may think it is. So how
I
did
will
you
be
bridge that
too very
gap?
soon.
Huh. Wow, this is really like this has taken me by surprise. I guess things have okay, one main thing is that things seem a lot more like achievable, right? Um a lot of times when you're like, I think in high school especially, like, at least for me, it was a case of like, you know, I'm like, maybe I'm aiming too high, or is this really possible, you know, from me? But I think that's something that I've definitely realized is that, wow, like, you know, things are definitely achievable. I'm a huge believer in like the power of the universe, and like you can really like manifest what you want. Um, yeah, no, for sure. Like that's something, like, if there's one thing I believe in and that I swear by, it's that. And so yeah, like, you know, if you like, okay, for me, changing pathways from like film and like the creative side to go to business was a huge step. And I was like, you know, I mean, for the past like 4 to 5 years, like from like high school to university, my whole life revolved around like film and like the creative side of things. So for me to switch, that would just be such a huge jump. I've invested so much of like time and energy. I was very unsure, but I had to, right? Because like I would rather switch than do something that I'm unhappy doing. So, you know, like that, and like making that jump, it really like showed me, wow, like if you believe in yourself, if you believe in the universe and like your time, you know, you really can do anything.
Yeah, our slogan, our like thing that we always say is everything happens for a reason. Like in almost every episode we do,
For
it's
sure.
our thing.
No, 100%. And like that being said, like even now, like I was so annoyed this morning about like the fact that, you know, all of this is happening and like I can't be there for my final semester. But then I have to realize it's burnt toast theory. There's a reason, and you know, you just have to remember that and
Yeah.
move on.
Do you feel that all of that growth was comfortable, or like what were the more uncomfortable parts, if you don't mind sharing? That if someone was in your position, was like trying to prepare themselves as much as possible emotionally, how was that?
Yeah. I think one main thing is just to like remember and realize that like sometimes not everything actually like goes to plan, which might sound like a bit disappointing at first, but I think in a lot of cases it's actually like it's there to guide you. I this you know it's in line with the whole like universe thing, and like what's meant for you will come to you. But I think yeah, just really like knowing that I think a lot might change. Like for me, even a lot of like my beliefs and like ideas on life changed, and that's bound to happen when you're going to a place where you're meeting so many people who've had different experiences growing up. So being I guess not only realizing that plans might change, but also you and your beliefs might change, and that's okay, like that's bound to happen. But also I guess taking the risk is another like huge piece of advice that I would like give to people, is that don't like don't stick to something that's safe. Really like obviously like university is like a pipeline to your career or like what you want to do in the future, but don't let like I guess money, like don't let money be a like motivating factor for what you want to do in the end. Really be what makes you happy. um Yeah, cause I mean, like this, I especially get to see because like I have so many people around me, so many friends around me, and it's like interesting to notice what motivates each person. And for everybody like has a different motivating factor. There's no right or wrong, but yeah, that's also like a huge thing that I believe in that I would also advise.
And what's your motivating factor?
For me, it's definitely like I've grown up where like my parents have always encouraged me to do whatever, like they've always pushed me to do whatever I feel like doing, whatever I'm passionate about, trying new sports or like even with career, like they've never really like pushed me in a certain path. They've always just said like they've questioned my intentions for choosing certain career paths. And I think that's what has always like pushed me, is questioning myself and asking why am I choosing to do this. Like so for me it's intention. I think it's choosing something that I'm passionate about, something that I can wake up every day going to work, or waking up every day to do that and I would be happy, instead of like waking up and like, oh my goodness, I have this to do and like it's another day of doing this. I would rather be happy doing what I'm doing.
I actually
Yeah,
respect
that's
that a
really
lot.
beautiful. Yeah. And then you did get a full scholarship. And like you were kind of speaking about pressure and intentions, did that then add any extra pressure on you with doing well in school by getting the scholarship?
I think like at first it might have, because it's like, like I have to like live up to this expectation, or work to deserve it. But I think NYU Abu Dhabi itself is just such a like balanced school where they don't really make you feel academically pressured or even pressured in any other way. Like I also did I was on a couple of sport teams, like badminton team and the rugby team. You they really like motivate you to like find outlets for your pressure. So I never really did feel much pressure. I mean, honestly, there is that irregular pressure that I would experience when I'm at university, but I wouldn't describe that in a bad way. But that's also just the way I am. I prefer to be like consistently busy and like having that underlying stress, which it's interesting how that works, because like stress is not really a good thing. But like I like to know that like okay, like I have a plan of this for tomorrow. So I I might have felt stressed, but I always had that outlet because like I would schedule things, like plan stuff with my friends. Um and yeah, like NYU Abu Dhabi itself, like they really don't make you feel pressured that, oh, if you don't do well, you're gonna like lose the scholarship. Like not at all.
And then now that you're coming to an end, you graduate in August, right?
Yes. No, actually in May. In May.
Yeah. So what are kind of oh, okay.
Yeah, soon.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's so close.
Yeah. uh,
So then what's kind of your final reflections of this past 4 years? Like, it's actually crazy for me to think about like being done with university and you're actually like you did it, like you got the
Not even
dream
done with high
basically.
school.
yeah. Oh wow. I feel so old. No, but I think final reflections. Honestly, I think For me, I've always just been of the idea that, oh, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't wait for these 4 years to be over. But for me, it's kind of the opposite. Like, I've always been like, okay, I know that this is gonna go fast, so I want to enjoy every bit of it. So that would be my number one is, like, this time is like, people say, oh, it's the best 4 years of your life. I don't like to put that kind of pressure on it, because I mean, like, okay, the average human lives to like what, 80. These 4 years cannot be the best years of your life, but they really are like special. They truly, like, that's what I thought at the start. Like, that's so much of pressure, like, oh, best years of your life. But really, like, I think the experiences that you experience during these 4 years are unprecedented. You will have equally good years in your life. That's for sure. I'm sure of that. I would hope. But yeah, so definitely enjoy it. Number two, I think okay, well, this is more like career related and like serious future stuff, but like, I think, don't like think in like a very traditional way, because now, like, that the universe, like, the whole world is like growing in a different way with like AI and everything. Um, like, jobs are not, like, they're not the same old, like, I mean, in South Africa, at least, the way it is, you're either a doctor, a lawyer, or like engineer or accountant. Like, there's that pressure to, like, if you do well, okay, this is what you're going to do. That's really not the way it is. You can literally do whatever you want. Like, there are so many new jobs that are going to come out tomorrow that you don't even know about today. So really, like, keep your options open. And honestly, the people, like, the friends around me who are like the happiest are like successful doing what they love. Um so yeah, I'd say definitely, like, be open about the future. And then lastly, I think, yeah, which is like, has been the theme of this call, which is trust in the universe's plan for you. And that does not mean like, oh, like, leave everything in the hands of fate. Like, you definitely have to work for it, but trust that your time is right. That if you're not getting something that you wanted, it's just you're being redirected for something else. And yeah,
My mum says that.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's right.
Yeah.
So
That's really beautiful.
you did mention to like experience everything and stuff like that. Do you think you experienced that period to the fullest, or would you do something different maybe?
I was actually speaking about this with my friend the other day, and I was like, wow, like, if I had a time machine and I could go back, I would not mind. But then he was like, oh, like, I don't know what I would do differently, even if I did go back. Um, I don't, like, I guess the one thing that I would do is like live more in the present. But that goes for like every moment in life, like even high school for that matter. I think it's so easy to just like look forward to the weekend, look forward to the holiday, and not take, full advantage and like really value the moment that you're, like, with people, or like having like a simpler time. So yeah, I'd say just like that's the only thing I would change. I wouldn't change anything else, because if I did change anything else, maybe I wouldn't be where I am today.
That's a really beautiful reminder, I think, to everyone,
Yeah.
wherever they are, whether or not they're in the middle of university or getting there or far from it.
Right.
Um, and with that, in the sense of being present, when for you did it feel real? Like, when did it feel like you were actually living the life that you've been dreaming about or been working towards?
For me, I think it was definitely when I was in New York, because for me, like, again, I think so. When I was in like grade 9, I remember, like, I visited the U.S. for the first time, and I went to New York, and I remember feeling like such a, like, outsider or like imposter in that city, because like it was so like big and great, and it's like it's made to seem this city where, like, your dreams come true. And I was like, wow, like, if only, you know what I mean? And even when I was applying to NYU, it was never with like the idea that, oh, I'm doing this because I want to go to New York. But then I ended up going to New York, and I remember, like, I wrote a letter to myself where I was like, to my 15-year-old self, like, she would be so happy at this moment, because I think for me, like, my biggest dream when after I visited New York was to go back to New York as somebody who's living there, like a local. You know what I mean? So I think that's when that, like, this is, like, this is real. And I think it keeps hitting me every now and again. It's important to also remember. what you have achieved. I think even like this was something that I would do even in high school. Like, sometimes it's very easy to feel down and compare yourself or feel like you're not doing enough, but you just need to stop and like go back and look at everything that you've been doing. And yeah, I think those are definitely the two moments.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else
Yeah.
you'd want to mention or speak about that we haven't touched on or asked you about?
No, I think the questions that you guys asked were really comprehensive. Um, yeah, like I I cannot stress that I'm like so grateful for these 4 years, for every opportunity that's come my way, even in high school, because it led me, up to the point that I decided that NYU Abu Dhabi is where I wanted to like go to, and like also deciding that like maybe business was right for me as opposed to film. So yeah, like I'm just grateful for like every decision that I've made and that the universe has helped me to make.
And to end it off quickly, do you want to tell us a bit more about your startup?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so basically when I was in my freshman summer, so most of my friends were getting internships and like finding opportunities like research and stuff like that. But for me, because I was doing film, I like it was obviously harder to find stuff. Like I would have to cold email people, network. It was not a straightforward process, like I mentioned. So that's when I realized like I'm not the only one. Like even other people who are pursuing creative fields might be feeling the same way. And then that's when I decided to actually take this up as a task and create it as a startup. So now what we do is we're basically working as a platform that we act as a middleman. So let's say like a company comes to us, right? It's like a medium-sized startup or like maybe they don't have enough funding or funds to actually afford marketing services. They come to us and we have a bunch of creatives in our database. So let's say you come to us as a creative and you sign up with us saying, okay, you want creative projects, creative opportunities. Then we have you in our database, and then the company comes to us and says, okay, we want an intern or we want an assistant with these skills, and we look at the skills that they need or like what they need help with, and then we look at our database, and whoever like has those skills, let's say you guys have those skills, and then you come up as a top match, we match you with that company. And so that way we're like solving two problems, like the problem of um, inaccessible like marketing services, creative services, as well as the lack of opportunities that creatives have. And this is specifically in the GCC region. I mean, I'm sure, like Madhya, because you've lived in the UAE, you might know about that. Like filming, even though films are like filmed there, it's only like bigger pictures like Dune and stuff like that. Like they're not gonna hire interns like that. So yeah, so that's what we're trying to do, and it's called Artisan.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I think this conversation was very enlightening and very enjoyable. I feel like I can speak for Vani and I. Um, so yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me, and like it was a great conversation, a great recap on these 4 years, and I'm so excited for you guys to experience all of this, especially you, Avani, because you're also like you're gonna be there soon, and Madhya, you're already there. That I have one last thing to say. Like, okay, when I was in high school, I cared so much about grades because obviously, like, that's what helps you get into uni. But I'm telling you, like, in uni, even like people who are like the smartest, like people really don't care about grades, and like you realize that grades are just such a like it's like a pinprick. I read this quote the other day. It's like a pinprick in the tapestry of your life. Like it's really not gonna matter. I know a lot of people might say this, but for me in high school, like every teacher was like, oh my goodness, like like this is gonna matter for uni. But really, like I think okay, because I was there. When you're in like grade 11, 12, definitely do care because that does matter for but I think unis also look at so much more than just your grades. So really don't worry about one bad grade.
I think that's great. Avani might find it a bit difficult to do that, but
No, but you'll be fine.
We'll try. We'll
um,
try.
so yeah, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.